Okay, thank you very much. I think when we look into the foreign workers, we need to look it holistically in terms of approach to this issue. Then we realize that in terms of their housing, their accommodation, and as well as the cleanliness as well. So we look into this. I think we reform a committee under Majlis Keselamatan Negara. So what is important is that to implement in terms of a holistic approach, looking into their housing, looking into the precautionary measures being taken to avoid infection, and also important is actually that could give a good personal hygiene. In terms of active case detection, we did the EMCO, and we have actually admitted them into depoh tahanan immigration, whereby we have done the screening. Maybe one or two of them, probably doing the screening, it is actually in an incubation period. So we believe that perhaps during the screening, incubation period is negative. And then when we place them in pusat depoh tahanan immigration, then when they become positive, they start to infect other inmates or other OKT. So that is one possibility. And when there's the issue also, we have to look into the crammed cells in depoh tahanan as well. So that is also one factor. Whereby if one case is positive, then definitely it will amplify the infection in small confined space. So it's part of our activity to look into the cause of infection. But at the moment, we can only say that it's maybe related to a confined space and also congested, crowded area. So we hope that the approach now we need to look into is a more multi-agency approach to look into the issues of the foreign workers. But this is PATI. PATI, then we have to and also look into as far as deportation as soon as possible. The moment they are negative, we deport them as soon as possible. But for PADI, for example, pendatang, asing dengan izin, so we also need to look into the holistic approach for them. So I think this is what Ministry of Health identified, all the issues, but the question is how to solve the issues. So to solve this issue, we need a multi-agency, whole government, whole society approach. Then I think we can actually address this issue. Today we are seeing the amplification of a confined space, for example, and we are worried not only in depoh tahanan immigration, we are also equally worried in prison, for example. So so far, we do not have any cases being reported in prison, for example, in Sungai Buloh. So we are keeping an eye in terms of the cases that have been admitted. Perhaps we need to screen them before they get admitted. Because if one of them is positive, then we'll isolate them. But if they are negative and they are still in the incubation period, although PCR is negative, it is possible that if they have exposed to a friend or even a colleague out there, this is positive. So we do not know whether they have exposed or not. So this is why it's important, perhaps we need to re-look back again the protocol before we admit a patient to a detention center whereby involve many inmates, for example, because that would amplify the infection. So this is something that we have actually proposed to Majlis Keselamatan Negara, and a committee has been formed. A whole committee has been actually looking into this. So I hope that the action plan is that involving multi-agency, multi-ministry, and Ministry of Health perhaps will be one of the members to look into how we can improve the condition of the foreign workers in this country.
Next one. Thank you very much.